I need to be upfront about something before I tell this story. I've gone back and forth about sharing it, because parts of it make me sound like someone who panicked over nothing. But the more time passes, the more I believe that what I experienced was real, and that what I did that night might have actually saved my life. This happened in October of 2020. I was 28, driving for a rideshare app in a mid-sized city in central Georgia. I'd been driving for about a year at that point, started during the pandemic when my restaurant job dried up. It wasn't great money, but it kept the bills paid. October was a decent month for rideshare. The weather was cooling down. People were starting to go out more despite everything, and the weekend nights were reasonably busy. I was doing a Saturday night shift. Started around 8 p.m., planning to drive until about 2 in the morning. By midnight, I'd done about 8 rides. Nothing unusual, bar traffic mostly. People going between bars, people going home, one couple going to a late-night diner. Around 12:45 a.m., I got a ping. The pickup address was on the north side of the city, a residential area I didn't know well. Nothing on the app set off any immediate flags. The name on the profile was Daniel. The rating was lower than I liked, but not low enough to automatically decline. The destination was listed as an address about 22 miles east of the city, a rural area well outside the main city limits. That gave me a moment of pause. 22 miles out after midnight into a rural area. That wasn't unusual. People live outside cities, but it was the kind of ride that gets your attention. Long rides into unfamiliar territory, late at night or when drivers tend to be most vulnerable. But the payout was good, so I accepted it. I drove to the pickup address and pulled up to a house on a quiet residential street. Older neighborhood. A mix of kept and neglected houses. The house I was parked in front of had lights on inside. I waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes. I sent a message through the app. No response. 3 minutes. The app's waiting timer started running. I called the number. It rang twice. Then a man picked up. I said I was his driver, out front. He said he knew. Then he asked me to come to the door. Said he had stuff to bring out and needed help carrying it. I looked at the house. Lights on, curtains drawn. Nothing visibly wrong. I told him I'd be at the curb when he was ready, and that I could pop the trunk from there. He paused, then said fine, and hung up. I waited. A minute passed. 2 minutes. The front door opened. A man came out. He was large, over 6 feet, heavy build, wearing dark clothing, and he was carrying what looked like a large duffel bag over one shoulder. He was moving slowly, deliberately. Something about the way he moved made my stomach tighten. I couldn't point to anything specific. He wasn't running or acting erratically, but there was something wrong with his body language. Tension, a kind of coiled quality, like he was working very hard to appear relaxed. He reached the passenger side of my car. He didn't go to the trunk. He opened the back passenger door and started to get in. I reminded him that I'd said I'd pop the trunk, that he could put the bag in the back. He said it was fine and kept getting in. I insisted, told him I'd prefer he put the bag in the trunk. He stopped. He looked at me in the rearview mirror. His face was broad, expressionless. His eyes were pale, light blue or gray, and they had the same flat quality I'd noticed in his body language. No warmth, no irritation at being asked. Just nothing. He said it was just a bag. I said I understood. Trunk, please. Another pause. He was looking at me in the mirror, unblinking. For 5 full seconds, he didn't move. Then he pulled himself back out of the car, walked around to the back, and I heard the trunk open, heard the bag go in, heard the trunk close. He came back around and got in the back seat. I watched him in the mirror. He was looking straight ahead. I pulled away from the curb. As I drove, I was running through everything in my head. The request to come to the door, the refusal to put the bag in the trunk, the way he'd looked at me in the mirror. Was I overreacting? Probably. Probably this was just a socially awkward guy with a heavy bag who was going home after a long night. But the feeling in my gut said otherwise. It said something was wrong. It said I needed to think very carefully about what I was doing. I tried to make conversation, asked if he had family out this way. He said something like that. Every response was short, minimal, and revealed nothing. He was looking out the window the whole time. We cleared the city limits. The lights of civilization started to thin out. Streets became a highway, became a two-lane road. At about the 15-mile mark, with 7 miles still to go, he told me to take the next right. I looked at the GPS. The next right was not on the route. I said the GPS had me going straight. He said he knew a faster way. Take the right. I didn't take the right. I kept going straight. He said the turn was back there. I told him I'd stick to the GPS route. Silence. Another mile passed. He told me to slow down. I said we were almost there. He said it again. Slow down. I did not slow down. We were on a completely empty two-lane road. No streetlights, no other vehicles. Dense tree line on both sides. My headlights were the only source of light in any direction. I was very aware of how alone we were. I thought about the bag in the trunk, the duffel bag he'd fought to keep in the back seat with him. I thought about why someone would want their bag next to them instead of in the trunk. I thought about the low rating and what kinds of experiences led to that score. I thought about 22 miles of empty road between where we were and where we'd come from. And I made a decision. There was a gas station coming up, a small one I remembered from a previous trip out this way, just off the main road about 2 miles ahead. I remembered it because it had a large illuminated sign visible from a distance. I drove toward it. He said I'd missed the turn again. His voice had changed slightly, still controlled but with an edge underneath it now. I said I needed to stop for gas. Just a minute. He said I didn't need gas. My gauge was on 3/4. He'd been watching my dashboard. I said the indicator had been glitchy and that I like to top off on long drives. He told me not to stop. I said I'd just be a minute. I could see the gas station sign up ahead. He said it again. Don't stop. And his voice was different now. The control was cracking, just slightly, and what was underneath it was not something I wanted to hear more of. I pulled into the gas station. It was small. 2 pumps, a little convenience store, 1 car parked near the entrance. But it was lit up brightly, and there was a person visible behind the counter through the window. I pulled up to a pump and stopped the car. I said I'd just be a second. He said this was unnecessary. His voice had gone very quiet. I got out of the car. I walked to the door of the convenience store and went inside. An older man, 60s, wearing a red vest, was behind the counter watching a small TV. I kept my voice low and as steady as I could. I told him I had a passenger outside that I wasn't comfortable with, and asked if there was any way I could stay there for a few minutes. The man read my expression quickly. His own expression shifted, became serious. He asked if I was okay. I said I didn't know, that something felt wrong, and I didn't want to be on that road alone with him. He nodded, reached under the counter, and picked up a phone. He said he was calling the sheriff and that it might take a few minutes, but he was calling. I stood at the window and looked out at my car. The man was still in the back seat, not moving, just sitting there, staring straight ahead. We waited. After about 4 minutes, the back door of my car opened. He got out. He walked to the trunk, opened it, and took out his bag. He didn't look at the store window. He didn't look at me. He slung the bag over his shoulder, walked out of the gas station lot, and headed down the road on foot. I watched until he disappeared into the darkness. The sheriff arrived 11 minutes later. I told him everything. The request to come to the door, the bag, the requests to take alternate routes, the command not to stop. He listened carefully and wrote it all down. He asked if the man had taken his bag. I said yes. He nodded slowly. Then he told me something. About 3 weeks before, a report had been filed in that county. A rideshare driver out of Atlanta took a late-night fare with similar circumstances. Long ride, rural destination, male passenger, large bag. He paused. Then he said she didn't stop. She made the full drive. The passenger asked her to pull over on a dark road. Said he needed air. She pulled over. He looked at me steadily and said they found her car 2 days later, about 4 miles east of where I would have been if I'd kept going. She was in the trunk. I couldn't speak. He said quickly that she was okay. She made it. She got out of the trunk after about 6 hours and flagged down a logging truck. But he said she was not okay, if I understood what he meant. I knew what he meant. He took my full statement, and I gave him a physical description of the man, the clothing, everything I could remember. He said they'd look into it. I drove home that night on shaking legs. I don't remember much of the drive. I think I was in some kind of shock. The sheriff's department followed up with me twice in the following weeks. I don't know what came of their investigation. I don't know if they ever identified or located the man. They didn't share that with me, and I didn't push for information because I didn't want to know more than I had to. I quit driving the next day. Not the next week. The next day. I've never gone back. I think about the woman from the sheriff's report sometimes. I think about those 6 hours in a trunk on a dark road in rural Georgia. I think about the logging truck she flagged down, and what would have happened if no logging truck had come. And I think about the moment I pulled into that gas station, the decision I made without fully understanding why I was making it. Just a feeling. Just a deep, instinctive wrongness that I was lucky enough to listen to. Some people call it intuition. I don't care what it's called. I know that it saved my life. Trust the feeling when something is wrong. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't try to seem polite or professional or reasonable. Stop the car, get into the light, and don't look back at the darkness to see if it followed you.